Welcome, everybody, to the Flight Podcast. My name is Jacob Shanker.
And I'm Andrew Thomas. For this episode, me and Jacob will be discussing who we think the top 10 quarterbacks are going to be in the 2020 season.
All right, let's get right into it. Who is your number 10 NFL quarterback on your list, Andrew?
For me, it's Tom Brady. He had a good season for definitely a good season for a 42-year-old. He led his team to the third seed, although he wasn't phenomenal, but he was decent in those playoffs. Well, in the game that he played, but he's on my top 10 list because there are 9 better quarterbacks, obviously, in my opinion. Who's your number 10, Jacob?
I love Tom Brady, but he's not in my top 10. I have Dak Prescott in my top and number 10. Yeah, Tom Brady did lead the Patriots to go to the really, it was their defense that helped them get to the playoffs, but Tom Brady was a big leading factor that helped the Patriots get to the playoffs. And he did do well. He did really well. But I think Dak Prescott had a very solid year. He had a career year for him. He had 4,900 passing yards, 30 touchdowns. I still think does not deserve the amount of money he's getting that the Cowboys are going to be paying him, but I still think he's a solid quarterback.
But he is extremely overrated.
Yeah.
I didn't put him in my top 10 because he led his team, who had a great team. He had Ezekiel Elliott. He had Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
He still only led them to a 500 win percentage, which is the biggest problem I have.
No, yeah, no. I think he's really the only reason why they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
He also had his 11 interceptions, which isn't very good either.
No, not
but
great.
At the same time, he's still a great quarterback. All right, so number 9 on my list is Carson Wentz. He led the Eagles 4,000 passing yards, 27 passing touchdowns. He was a great leader for the Eagles to help get them to the playoffs, and he had a really great season.
My number 9 is I have Carson Wentz higher on my list. I put number 9 Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
He's a really good quarterback. He doesn't usually lead his team to so many wins, but he's a great passer, and I think that if he doesn't get injured, he has a good chance of making the Lions a much better team that they were this season, because he only played, I think, 8 games this season.
Yeah, he only played 8 games.
Yep.
I think the only reason Matthew Stafford isn't higher on my list is because he got injured halfway through the season. And he played like an incredible, even in the 8 games, he was incredible. 19 touchdowns, 2,500 passing yards in only 8 games. And with what he was projected to go, if he continued, he would have had 5,000 passing yards and 38 passing touchdowns, which is crazy.
Well, that's assuming that he doesn't have a.
Well, yeah, that's assuming, yeah, but also, he's still a great quarterback, and yeah, it also showed the impact how when he left the Lions, they were terrible.
Yeah.
They were so bad. All right, who you got for number 7?
Number 8.
Sorry, number 8.
Well, number 8, I have Carson Wentz. I have him above Matthew Stafford because he led a very injury-plagued Eagles team. They had a ton of their players injured. They still have their good offense, and he led them past the Cowboys, 9-7, which isn't great, but at the same time, he led them to the playoffs. He did get that concussion, and my man Josh McCown did pretty good, but Carson Wentz led his team to the playoffs, basically.
Yeah,
they were under 500, and then he helped them get to the 9-7 record.
I'm not really going to argue with this. Yeah, Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, 8 or 9. I'm not really going to argue with that.
It's not something to argue about. It's just
personal. No, yeah. All right, number 7, I got Ryan Tannehill. Most improved player of the year. He did, even though he didn't play those first 4 games because of Marcus Mariota was playing, but he still had an incredible season with 2,700 passing yards, 22 touchdowns. Him and Derrick Henry were really the leading factors in getting them to the playoffs and doing well in the playoffs. I mean, obviously Derrick Henry was a beast in the playoffs and in the regular season, but Ryan Tannehill was also a very big factor in that whole process.
Yep. I also have Ryan Tannehill at number 7. I thought the Patriots were gonna go to the conference championship against the Chiefs, but no, the Titans were on fire with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, and they got to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and they were leading the Chiefs for almost half the game.
Yeah.
And if Patrick Mahomes didn't have that comeback, which he did against the Texans, then Titans may be going to the Super Bowl.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah.
But I can't say.
Can you tell me I can't assume about Matthew Stafford and then assume that the Titans will make the Super Bowl?
But no. But if Patrick Mahomes doesn't come back,
yeah,
he'll make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I got what you mean.
Yeah.
Even
though they do probably lose to the 49ers.
Yeah, probably. All right, number 6. I know you're gonna get very heated on this one.
Well, I'm not getting heated, but it's confusing how you think that.
Okay.
Who's your number 6, Jacob?
I have Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers. I just want to put that out there. Okay, he's an excellent player.
He's a hater.
But I just don't think he did as well as some of the other players. I mean, let alone he did have 4,000 passing yards. He had 26 passing touchdowns, but his completion percentage was not very good. He had 60. I mean, it was okay. It was 62%. But I mean, compared to some of the other quarterbacks, it's not as good. Like Drew Brees, whose completion percentage was better. But I mean, overall, I mean, he did great in the playoffs with the Packers. But in the regular season, I think he did fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so who you got 6?
Drew Brees. I mean, I have, like you said, Aaron Rodgers had a great playoffs. That's also why I have him higher than Drew Brees. Drew Brees is phenomenal, but at the same time, he had a phenomenal Saints team against a mediocre Vikings team, and they lost. And Aaron Rodgers went to the conference championship against the 49ers. And he didn't have a great game. Nobody on his team had a great game, but he still got to the conference championship. Drew Brees didn't.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, Drew Brees got injured through the regular season.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, honestly, I think if Drew Brees didn't get injured, he's an arguable top 3 quarterback because he did really well.
Well, I don't think top 3, but you can.
Yes.
Like if he wasn't injured, he could have gotten 4, but there's no way he's.
He is 4.
No.
He is. I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers is just not. He's not. This is also going into 2020 season, right? I just don't think that Aaron Rodgers is on that elite level that he used to be. I mean, obviously, Drew Brees hasn't been as good as he used to be, but he's still on.
Well, they're getting old, but I disagree that Aaron Rodgers isn't on an elite level. I think that he's a great quarterback.
I don't think so.
All right,
let's move on.
Number 5, who do you have?
I got Deshaun Watson.
I also have Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, he pretty much led the Texans.
Yeah.
Great quarterback. Not much to say because he's just a solid quarterback. He's great at rushing. He's great at passing. He can do it all.
Yep, Deshaun Watson's great.
The only problem I had was that he had a lot of interceptions.
Yeah.
12 interceptions, which is a lot, but at the same time, he is still a great quarterback.
Yep. Who do you have for number 4, Jacob?
You mean number 5? I mean, sorry, number 4. You're right. Drew Brees.
Yeah.
And who do you got?
Aaron Rodgers.
Your man, Aaron Rodgers. Of course you do.
man.
Of course you do. Of course.
We went over this. Let's before we get into the most heated argument, let's just jump to number 3.
All right. I got Russell Wilson for number 3. Now, I know you think that Lamar Jackson is number 3.
I do think Lamar Jackson is number 3.
Okay. But I'm saying that Russell Wilson is number 3 because, first of all, Lamar Jackson was MVP. Russell Wilson wasn't. Lamar Jackson had an incredible year, right? 3,127 passing yards, 1,206 rushing yards. The only other player that has had somewhat of the same season as him is Michael Vick.
Michael
Vick, exactly. Lamar Jackson had 36 passing touchdowns and 7 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
And even if Lamar Jackson didn't play all the games, he didn't play the last game, and he still had more passing touchdowns than Russell Wilson and more rushing touchdowns than Russell Wilson. The only thing that Russell Wilson did better than Lamar Jackson was passing yards.
Okay, well, passing yards also says a lot. But
yeah,
I'm also saying I have Lamar Jackson 3 because he did awful in that playoffs game, like garbage. 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions, and the Ravens lost to the Titans. It was the Titans, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not taking away anything that Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry did because it was phenomenal, but Lamar Jackson should have won that game if he was the MVP. He was the MVP, but he did not play at an MVP level that night. That's like that's a choke. He choked. He did terrible. That's why I have him at number 3. I think that he needs to prove if he had a good playoff game, one playoff game that was good, then he'd be number 2 for me. But Russell Wilson had a much better postseason.
Did you watch that game? The Ravens against Titans?
Yes, I watched the game.
So you know that it was not Lamar Jackson that is why they lost.
But he still threw 2 interceptions.
No. Yeah, he threw 2 interceptions, yes. But Derrick Henry was literally a beast that whole game and was literally why the Titans won, is because of Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson had
he went beast mode.
He had 365 passing yards and 150 rushing yards.
It doesn't excuse the fact that Lamar Jackson had a bad game.
That I don't think that's a bad game. 365 passing yards on 150 rushing yards. 2
interceptions.
Okay, 2 interceptions. That's fine. Russell Wilson had a fumble. Lamar Jackson didn't have any fumbles.
Okay, but interceptions are like you're getting 1 fumble is 2 interceptions is more important to you than not to you, but if you're on a team, if you're on defense, you want to get the interception, 2 interceptions, more than just 1 fumble.
Yeah, but per game, per passing yards per game, Lamar Jackson had more passing yards than Russell Wilson, and he had more rushing yards than Russell Wilson. He had the same amount of touchdowns.
Okay, but
as Lamar. Lamar Jackson played 1 game less than Russell Wilson, and they had the same amount of touchdowns. Even if Lamar Jackson threw 2 interceptions, he still had the same amount of touchdowns as Russell Wilson.
In the playoffs?
In the playoffs.
Doesn't matter. Russell Wilson still won.
Okay. But Lamar Jackson, you started telling me that Lamar Jackson didn't have a good game because of the 2 interceptions.
Yes, he did not have a great game.
So a player that had 365 passing yards.
Well, that's decent.
That's decent? What?
Shush. It's better than decent. But
that's great. That's incredible.
He lost the game. If Lamar Jackson was the MVP, he would have went God mode and he would have beaten the Titans.
Andrew, do you know how many yards that is?
Yes, I do.
In total?
Yes.
How many is it? 510. Almost 510 yards. Rushing and passing.
I got confused because you said he had 300. Oh God, you just confused me
No,
so
I
much.
said total yards. He had 510 yards.
But it
The
doesn't
same
excuse the
amount of
fact that he
catches,
lost
touchdown.
the game.
Okay, but he didn't have a bad game.
Yes, he did. 2
The
interceptions.
only okay, but
You have
literally,
his
it was Derrick Henry.
That's like
If Derrick Henry didn't have a good game, the Ravens would have won.
It doesn't matter. He still had a good game. Lamar Jackson should have gone off.
Okay, but okay.
And you're telling, but like literally, Lamar Jackson had, and I can remember, he had a couple bad games that season. Lamar Jackson didn't throw that many. He threw 6 interceptions. He threw 1/3 of what he threw the entire regular season in one game.
Okay,
You're telling me that he did not. You're telling me that he had a good game.
I'm not saying he had a great game, but I'm not saying he had a bad game either. Because yes, he did throw 2 interceptions, but he also had 510 yards, which is great. That's amazing. And also put aside playoffs, you're forgetting he was the MVP.
What matters more, playoffs or regular season?
Total.
Playoffs. The playoffs.
We're talking about players that going into the 2020 season.
Yes, exactly. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson's better, exactly.
Okay, and the regular season.
All right. Let's move on. We've talked about this too long.
Number 2.
For the last one, I'm going to assume ours is the same. Patrick Mahomes, number 1.
The best quarterback in the league, without a doubt.
Yeah, Super Bowl MVP. Probably had one of the best games in NFL history against the Texans.
Yeah.
After losing 24-0 and had an incredible comeback. 4,000 passing yards, 26 passing touchdowns. He had a phenomenal season.
Yeah, it was great.
Now he's got the big bucks with all that money.
Yeah.
$500 million contract, which is crazy. But honestly, it's probably worth it. For 10 years and you get to have a quarterback that has the potential of being the greatest of all time. I mean, that's a steal for the Chiefs. That's
especially because we don't know how much the free agent cost is going to increase in the future.
Yeah, the salary cap.
You never know. 50 million might be not the best you can go in that time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Thank you everyone for listening to the podcast.
That's all for today. Feel free to comment who your top 10 quarterbacks are and tell us what you would change.
See you guys next time.